And then share an anecdote about the Marazzo, which frankly, I think is also launched for this company. Starting with the Scorpio, I remember that I got a call from Alan Durant, who was the head of the auto business 3-4 years before we launched the Scorpio. And he was meant to be working with Pawan on building an incremental 13-seater vehicle. It was part of an engineering design change project. And Alan said, Anand, I want you to come over to the factory and just take a look at something. And when I went over there, he took me to the desk of a 25-year-old IIT design graduate. And in the screen in front of him was a rendering of the Scorpio, not of the incremental commander type 13-seater that I thought we were working on. And I remember distinctly telling everyone there that this is not the IDAM project, this is the future of the company. And that always has stuck in my mind. It was a step change for Mahindra. Ambition, leapfrog in technology. And then you fast forward to when we were designing the XUV 500. And I now recall another story where again I came back right here to take my first look at the prototype of the XUV. An intern with me who had flown with me from Mumbai. He must have been about 25 years old. And we walked in to the shop here where Kripa and her team had put the prototype. And this kid came in and he just stopped in his tracks and he said, wow. My jaw dropped too. Because that vehicle took a leap of faith in design. It was bold, it went where no one had gone before in design, and it elicited that wow. And ever since then, we've never really been comfortable until we can get somebody to walk in, take a look at a vehicle and say, wow. We've not always succeeded, but that's what we always try to do. But the XUV took us not just from sheer ambition and leapfrogging in technology, it took us into the realm of high design, of recognizing that people loved things of beauty. We had to stop the bookings of the XUV. Many of you will remember that. Because we couldn't cope with the kind of demand that was coming out. And a lot of that was purely because people loved what they saw. So Mahindra's romance with design began there. And now I want to come to the Marazzo. And the anecdote here refers to some years ago when I was in Detroit. Manor had just been set up. Rick Haas, the head of Manor, took me for a ride on the mule of the U321, as we called the Marazzo, as we codenamed it. And we went out onto the highway, and he had slapped some kind of body on it. I think it was the Xylo body, if I'm not wrong, on top of this mule. And he said, Anand, I want you to just feel the experience of riding this car. And he told me about the front-wheel drive transverse engine on ladder frame technology that was going to be unique. And he said, you've got to see how it feels, how it rides. And we went out onto the expressway just outside Manor. I drove that car. But forget the feeling of the car. It was very comfortable. All of you are going to ride it. Although in Detroit, I was like a little kid. I was sitting next to Rick Haas, driving down an expressway in a car that was designed for India. And I got a big rush of blood, and I suddenly had a sense, so this is what globalization is all about. Pawan has talked about this, so has Vijay. What the Marazzo has done is signaled Mahindra's process now, which is global, truly global in its nature, in its scope, its competencies. We have MRV, which many of you have seen, and which is world-class in its own right. We have Mahindra Automotive North America, starting out with a handful of people and now over 120 talented engineers, because we wanted to tap into that experience. We have tremendous talent in MRV, but what the US has is a track record, is a learning curve of experience that we wanted to tap into, and we did very successfully. And then along came Pininfarina. And as Pawan said, we triangulated between the three. And this was a cultural change. This was not just about technology. This was about how do you get 3 points in a globe to talk to each other, to cooperate, to collaborate, to build something new, and to do it with equal passion. And I think we licked that problem. So what we have now is the confidence that we can once again use this neural network of R&D, of development that we talk about, to deliver our products. Speaking of Pininfarina, that gives me a cue into design. Now we've got the Shark. A lot of you might be tempted to think, is this a little frivolous? Is this a little flippant? What's all the big deal about the Shark? So let me try and tell you why. Why the Shark? And to do that, I first have to recapitulate Mahindra's view of the automotive landscape in the future. Some of you who were at the TUV 300 launch will remember that I laid out that landscape at that time. What we see going forward is that there will be three very different areas in the automotive industry that one will play in. The first will be the commoditized end, where ride sharing and ride sharing fleets will be dominant. People who use the Ubers and the Olas do not care what car they're in. They want to get from point A to point B. There will be OEMs making vehicles for those fleets, but they will be commoditized, they will be electric, and they will have to do with efficiency and price. And then there's going to be a segment where cars are objects of desire, where people buy them because they're expressions of their personality, of their lifestyle. Those cars have to be exciting. They have to make you want to buy them. And finally, the third area, which I'm proud to say Mahindra hopes to participate in too, is what I call objects of obsession. The extreme market of luxury, of very, very premium vehicles, where Automobili Pininfarina will play, and where we did our first private viewings in Pebble Beach last week, and I was privileged to be there. And I have great faith that that venture is going to pay off. But let me get back to the second segment, the objects of desire. What is the vehicle we're building here today? It's a family vehicle. It's a people carrier. It's got 7 to 8 seating capacity. It's for families. If you go back into the history of the automobile, my recollection is that it was the Renault Espace that really came out with that kind of configuration. Renault never really capitalized on it. The cars for soccer moms. They were functional. They were utilitarian. They were meant, again, to ferry kids back and forth. I wouldn't really call them vehicles that had personality and passion. So what was Mahindra's challenge? Our challenge was, how do we take this segment and make it exciting? Because in the future, if we're going to have to play in that second segment, you have to give a car personality. And so we turned to a very time-honored tradition in the auto business, which is to look to the animal kingdom for inspiration. And frankly, that's been a time-honored practice for the automotive industry. We have always in the industry drawn on the natural engineering and natural design that nature gives us for inspiration. You have cars called the Mustang, the Cougar, the Puma, the Bronco, because everyone sees inspiration in the natural world. And we went for that too. When you look at the configuration of this car, the shark came to mind instantly. What do people look for in this kind of vehicle? They look first and foremost 50. They look for a smooth ride. They look for agile handling on a highway. And they look for durability. Take a look at the shark. The shark's natural body design gives it lift and reduces drag, much as cars look for in the atmosphere. They get that same experience underwater. Sharks, interestingly, live the longest amongst the species of fish. Some Greenland sharks live up to 300 years. And the reason they do is because they don't have any predators that prey on them. The only superior predator in the ocean is the blue whale. The shark is unchallenged. The shark is smooth, it's silent, and it's unchallenged. So if I'm going to put my family into a car, which is a people carrier, I want it to be smooth, I want it to be silent, I want it to endure, but above all, I want it to be unchallenged. That's the kind of excitement that we want to build in here, ladies and gentlemen, which is why all this fuss about the shark. What we are trying to do is to infuse excitement into this segment, which no one really has done before. So all of us out here at Mahindra are optimistic that the Marazzo is going to swim through the waters of its segment smoothly, silently, unchallenged, and for many, many years. Now, having spoken and waxed eloquent about all this imagery, there's one very functional feature, one very utilitarian feature that remains to put together the entire Marazzo painting, and that is the price. So Vijay, what is the price?
I'm going to share that, Anand.
As they say in game shows, Rajan, come on down.
Just behind you. Good afternoon. To let out the I share with all of you what is our varianting strategy. As normally happens, few variants get created. We have also created what we call it as an M2 variant. I would little rather hate to call it a base variant, but that's what it will get taken for. However, I'm very happy to share with you that real top of the line features are there in the base variant. As Vijay mentioned, we have this surround cool technology of the cooling. We have disc brakes on all the wheels, very high-tech cluster with driver information system to change information available to him, dual airbags, eco-driving mode. All these things are packed in the base model, what we call it as the M2. And then we have the next variant, we call it as M4. The M4 is really an M2 plus. That's wherein the very powerful infotainment and connectivity system kicks in. We live up to our BlueSense, DigiSense, voice messaging, Bluetooth, ORVMs, electrically actuated, and a lot of more features, small additions are there to M4. Then we have the M6 variant. Our M6 variant is about an M2 plus an M4 and a host of other features. That's when, as Vijay says, the cab sense and the real haptics induced designed touchscreen infotainment, which is very interactive, kicks in. We have steering mounted controls and above all, a very, very essential feature of an emergency call, all packed in our M6 variant. Then of course, the top of the line variant is our M8 variant. It's a beauty personified with daylight running lights. It's 17-inch big wheels, give you extreme driving comfort. We just spoke about Android Auto, something that we can't live without. It has to be there. Top of the line infotainment box, and above all, plush, very comfortable leather seats. So with this, we have M2, M4, M6, and M8 for you. So I don't want to hold the suspense of the price too long. Any guesses? No? So then let's look at it. Can we have the price rollout, please? So friends, we have the M2 at 9.99, the M4 at 10.95, the M6 at 12.4, and M18 at 13.9. And these are very, very good prices. They are the introductory launch prices, and I'm sure each one of you would be delighted at this price that we have for you. Thank you very much. So friends, we move over to our next session of Q&A, and I would invite Anand, Pawan, Vijay to come and share the stage with me for the questions that you may have of us. Shot?
Anand is still fascinated by this shark.
Aishwarya, can you take a picture of me just petting the shark if you don't mind? I want to send it to my wife here.
I can see the headline being something different. Anand Mahindra catching a shark.
I'm wearing it on my body.
Okay. Can I get some lights? Yeah, please.
What's the warranty?
Yeah, can we get a mic there, please, very quickly?
Hi, my name is Amit Changani from Motoroids. My question is, what's the warranty with the car, the standard warranty?
Kind of warranty.
Yeah, it comes with a 300,000 warranty as a standard warranty on the product.
Which is best in class.
Yeah, it's best. It's about best in class, and I think what's also important is while we launch this, just besides having a standard warranty, we have an absolutely wow, we can say engineered for financial benefit annual maintenance contract, which is available at as good a value of almost 0.9 rupees per kilometer.
And is this extendable?
Yes, it is extendable.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, hi. My name is Jitendra Kothari. Here. Is there an automatic transmission option in any of the variant?
Yeah, so we are working on it, and with the BS6 coming in, we will have the automatic version coming.
Dr. Goenka, Sumantra here.
Yes, so go ahead, please.
Is there a scope of sharing the Marazzo with SsangYong also?
There is definitely a scope, but as of now, that's not part of the product plan for SsangYong.
And also the prices that which were shown, these are the 7-seater if I'm not wrong. What's the difference between this and the 8-seater versions?
It's a very marginal 5,000 rupees.
I thought nobody will see that small print. Not a small print, huh?
Hi, this is Shobhita from Pennsylvania, Calcutta. The Hondu 3, the competitor for this segment, for Marazzo.
Who is the competitor for? So, now just to give you a little bit of a background before I come to that, somehow in Mahindra we always have the knack of launching products without, that kind of creates its own category and segment. So frankly, if you look at it in terms of the value package and the product and the proposition that we've created, we really believe it will create a segment of its own. We don't see an impact of that either in terms of cannibalization to us. And the way we see it, it's a passenger vehicle which provides an extremely great value for 7/8 people. That's the way we see it.
I wanted to see the real vehicle. We see the shark now. When are we going to see that? Just wanted to understand what kind of an impact do you see on your own product portfolio with this new product? Because obviously you coming in with a completely new all design product. So what happens to the Scorpio and the XUV? Do you think that cannibalization is serious? Could be a serious issue over here?
Pankaj, one of the things that we have been always very careful that in a segment called UV, we are able to create sub-segments that are fairly distinct. So if you're really looking at this product, the Marazzo, and want to buy this product as a family vehicle, as a personal transport vehicle, as a business vehicle, typically these people will not be considering an XUV or a Scorpio. That is around the price point of this vehicle. And from the time that we have launched our products, starting with Scorpio, we have had the fortune of not having much cannibalization. So when a customer walks in, we don't see the customer shopping at 3 or 4 different products of Mahindra. It is always that one product. And we do believe that this product has enough distinction from the 2 other products in that price range, the Scorpio and XUV, of course, much higher price range, that we don't see much, I would say much cannibalization. Of course, some will always be there, but our belief is that it will not be too much. And for us, we have carefully defined this segment, as I said, in product planning 4 years ago, to ensure that there is a separate niche that we are creating. The same is true for S201, which will be launching later in the year, where again we don't have a product in that segment.
So do we see a petrol variant coming on Marazzo soon?
Yes, as I said, we are working on, by the time a BS6 comes, there would be a gasoline version that will come.
Yeah, as you know, that BS6 is just about 1 year, 1.5 years away.
April 2020.
And we didn't want to launch too many variants right now because it's very expensive to BS4 and then BS6. So we have saved the gasoline engine and the automatic transmission to be launched along with BS6.
Hi, Sumant here, right here. Sir, Mahindra has been losing market share in the utility vehicle space. In fiscal 2018, you also lost the crown to Maruti Suzuki. That beginning with the Marazzo, you will try to claw back your presence in the market. So what is the expectation from this vehicle in terms of sales, outright sales, and how critical it is for you to get the crown back?
Well, very difficult to quantify market share going forward given the dynamics of the industry. And of course, market share is an outcome which depends on also what competition does. But from our standpoint of view, we have a fungible capacity between the Marazzo and the S201, which is about 8,000 vehicles, 8 to 9,000 vehicles per month, depending on demand. And then, of course, we also have the Y400 launch. So I think with the combination of all these 3 product launches, we believe we'll probably add 9 to 10,000 vehicles to our portfolio, and I guess that will give a substantial increase in market share.
As you can imagine that we have a lot of discussion on market share within the company, and Anand has very different views on market share. So I request Anand to give his views.
Yeah, so you use the word crown. I would say it's a crown of thorns, frankly. And we don't want to pursue that crown because the problem with market share is that the definitions can't. If you to what a definition of an SUV was, which used to be lap-framed vehicles, you'll find Mahindra's share hasn't actually gone down. If every monocoque crossover, if every wannabe SUV is going to be counted in this, then that market share is going to continually expand. What I think all of you want is to see us make magic again, is to have a hit product. That's what you want. That's what we are focused on. I don't think Mahindra is going to be focused on market share. We're going to be focused on making sure that our products are hits and that they are lusted after by the public, and they improve our already very robust return on equity. That's Mahindra's goal.
Why is this side very quiet? Let's go on this side for a minute. Then we'll come here.
My name is Roy Pitarian. I represent Motana India. All you gentlemen emphasized a lot on this car being safe and being a family car. Why is it that you're not offering more airbags, especially when your family is sitting all around in the car?
Well, I think you would have heard my colleague Velu talk about the safety as a package. So, while airbags are active safety features, we've ensured that from a design point of view, everything required for safety is in the vehicle. Airbags do help, but the basic design needs to be robust from a safety point of view. And you heard him that when it comes to the basics of the vehicle design, it has the design of not only what is required as per regulation today, but also in terms of the future. So whether you look at the 56% in terms of the steel, the high tension steel that is used, or whether you look at various other features like disc brakes on all the four wheels, whether you talk about Pet Pro, whether you talk about side impact, the vehicle is already designed for all of that.
Hi, excuse me. I just want to know why did you choose this extremely rare drivetrain with this car and not went ahead with the monocoque chassis, which you see on your very popular best-selling XUV? And give us a reason for that, please.
Why did we use ladder frame? Is that what you're
Yes, with the front-wheel drive format.
So I think Vijay talked about it in his presentation that what we're trying to do is get best of both worlds. Ladder frame has its own advantage, and the front wheel drive has its own advantage and disadvantage. And what we try to do is combine. First time ever anyone has done that, and it really came out of a sort of skunk project that we've done in Nashik, which led to this. It's not new. Idea was in prototype as far back as 50-60 years ago. But it never made it to production. This is the first time ever.
Hence,
the idea is
very
made.
rare.
I'm sorry?
Hence, I said it was very rare to see after a very long time.
Yes.
Is it rare or unique?
Unique.
Unique.
What I would say.
It's the first productionized architecture of ladder frame with east-west engine, as Pavan said, to give the best of both worlds.
And as Keith mentioned that because of that, we have been able to take care of some of the negatives that come along with ladder frame, and yet maintain the positive of the ruggedness, the durability, and sort of ability to go anywhere that a ladder frame will give you. So in a way, it's best of both worlds. Also, it didn't come out, I think, was that it allows us to have very high rear suspension travel.
It has the highest in the category.
Yes,
has the highest.
That again is very good. So a lot of little things that happen which allow.
Two more small questions on that. So, would you be offering four-wheel drive with this?
No, this will not come in four-wheel drive, because the moment you want to do four-wheel drive, all the advantages that we just talked about disappear. So this will be a purely two-wheel drive.
And one last question, the coming in at around 2020, would you not thought that monocoque chassis would have made more sense? It would have helped you clear emissions and fuel efficiency guys better?
Would BS6 help with higher efficiency? Why did it not go for monocoque?
Again, we explained to you that we wanted to create best of both worlds. The ladder frame as well, and we have pretty good fuel efficiency. The numbers were not talked about today, but we have managed pretty good fuel efficiency.
So this engine is BS6 compliant, is ready to meet BS6 compliant.
The engine is BS6 compliant, but of course there is a lot of engineering work that.
What I stood on the application on the exhaust treatment side, which will happen, which will go through a new set of validation for a BS6 cycle. But engine is BS6 compliant even now.
You mentioned about fuel efficiency with BS6, that's a very good point. And what we have done, it's not coming because of monocoque, it's coming because of lower weight.
Yes,
and this vehicle has a very low weight for a ladder frame vehicle, almost as good as a monocoque vehicle, because of front wheel drive, because we have taken out the propeller shaft. Because we have taken out the heavy rear axle, we are getting a very low weight. And that was the reason this project was done.
Okay.
We started off saying that how do we get the weight of a monocoque on a ladder frame vehicle? We'll have to move on down. We can talk to you offline.
Sorry, I just didn't want to leave the fuel efficiency to any perception. So if I may just complete it, it's 17.6 kilometers per liter, ARAI tested. And in real world usage, it varies between 10 to 15% higher than vehicles in similar size category.
Back on this side, anyone? Sid wanted to.
Sid, can we get a mic up here, please?
All right, morning gentlemen. A couple of questions. One that's a serious one that's a little bit lighter. The serious one first. You mentioned, of course, the new layout, new drivetrain, new platform, new as well. So the overall cost for the project for U321, as well as how it differs from what would typically have been an overall cost for a new vehicle.
I think Pawan did mention cost us about $200 million. That's because we have an all-new engine, an all-new transaxle in this project. That's the kind of cost.
And how different is that from what you traditionally spent on a new product?
It depends on whether you count $1 million or rupees. The question changes.
My maths is not the best.
If I go back to Scorpio was $120 million and 550 crores. So in crores, it has tripled. In $1 million, it has gone up by 80%.
And I think it's also important, there has been an evolution. A lot of these regulations were not there earlier. So if you have to conform to these regulations on crash, safety, emissions, your testing, validation goes up a lot. And that's what is increasing the cost.
Kidding aside, if I was to compare to Scorpio, actually the $200 million is a very good investment number. Because the product is not the same as what when we did Scorpio. Scorpio didn't have any high strength steel. This vehicle has 52% high strength steel. You'll be hard pressed to find a vehicle in this class at this price point with 52% high strength steel. The kind of features that you see inside, we couldn't have even imagined at the time of the Scorpio. It was not even in our radar at all that we could be thinking about the Scorpio. And the kind of launch that we are doing, we couldn't have done in Scorpio. We just had a conference room with a mic and few of us starting to talk, right? So things are very different today.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That wasn't the lighter question though, the dollar rate. The lighter question, I've heard Marazzo, and Marazzo. What's correct?
Yeah, so the correct pronunciation is Marazzo. And as you know, the origination of it comes from Basque, which is a sub-language of Spanish.
You had a better explanation of...
Well, you know, if you talk to a Spanish speaker here, he will say that it's actually Marazzo in Basque, because in Spanish, I have a Spanish-speaking grandson now, so I'm an expert on this. Frankly, the double Z is more Italian, but that we felt sounded and looked better. So frankly, we've created a hybrid. It's derived from the Basque, meaning sharp. So how do you want to say it, Sid? I'm just crowdsourcing a vote here now.
Too late.
We're saying Marazzo. It sounds lovely, doesn't it? So because when we went to Pininfarina, those guys said Marazzo. Marazzo. Yeah. We said, that's fine. Pininfarina, Ferrari, you know? It's a Marazzo. Okay?
Done.
You can say it for now.
Marazzo.
Marazzo. Baby.
Thank you.
Just to be clear, Sid, the spelling in the language is Marrazzo. And we have changed it to Marazzo, and we have a D sound coming just before Z.
Marazzo.
So Marazzo. Everybody has to become Italian speaking now. And at the time of reveal of the name, we didn't know how to pronounce it, and you would have heard all of us say something different. Now we are all alike.
I'm excited to see how people will pronounce it in India. I think that's part of the fun, you know. I know all of you guys put it on social media. Hormuz did. He got panned. The name got panned. Marasu, Maravo, Yebo. Everything came out. But that's the beauty. Ye hai India, right? 10,000 pronunciations, I don't care. It'll make it a talking point. It'll make it conversational. If you had a boring name, nobody would talk about it.
And Anand, I'll give one more secret that for the next product launch that we are going to have, the same question will be asked.
Good morning. I'm Dipanshu from Autotech Review. I wanted to ask you about, you've spoken about collaboration among all your three key centers, Detroit, Pininfarina, as well as India. Going forward, Mr. Mahindra, what's your view on collaboration, not just within your ecosystem, but also an ecosystem outside, wherein you have solutions, innovations coming in from allied sectors? So how do you see that really helping your organization, Mahindra as a group, across different products?
That's a great question, and you're right. The neural network, which we coined that phrase sometime back of R&D, we implied it within our own network, but you're absolutely right. In today's porous world, you have to absorb technology from wherever it comes. Not technology, but inspiration for the cabin. If you look at the air cooling system, was the aircraft. I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of osmosis coming in from the aircraft industry. And frankly, just if you look at it today, you can build a nuclear weapon by going onto the net. That's how porous technology is. So why wouldn't we put all our tentacles out and get technology wherever it comes from? So we're going to be very eclectic indeed. A great question.
Okay, I think you have all forgotten that you have come here to see a vehicle. So we will have to move on to that last two questions.
So this is Sharon on your right side. On to your right side, sir.
On to my right. Where?
Hand up there.
Go ahead, please.
Sir, I'm Sharon from Cogensis. I would like to ask you as to how many vehicles are you targeting to sell this year and how many next year?
I think he has already answered that question, so we will skip that. Vijay had answered that earlier. Anyone else?
There was one here.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. This is Akbar from Autocar India magazine. First of all, many congratulations to you guys for the new launch. Two quick questions. Firstly, the new platform, new drivetrain, everything is new on the Marazzo. So would we expect any more vehicles based on any more body styles or something based on the same platform?
Any more body styles. So once a platform gets created, it's an asset. And definitely one would like to scale up the asset with the more, but it is in the consideration. So let's see.
Thank you. One more question. As Mr. Goenka just said that the customer for XUV and the other products and the Scorpio won't be the correct customer for something like a Marazzo. It's going to be an MPV customer, not an SUV customer. So are you guys gearing up your dealerships or your training for your staffs for a different customer which is going to come for the Marazzo?
Yeah. Sure. So, I mean, just firstly, MPV, SUV, I think Anand also alluded to that. We are calling it a 7-seater passenger vehicle, and I'm sure it will find its own categorization over time. But when it comes to the customer experience, we kind of totally redefined that at our showrooms. Starting today, as we sell this vehicle, the way we'll sell it will be very, very different. We're now kind of calling our dealerships world of SUVs, where you walk in, the way we display the vehicle is absolutely different. The uniforms in which people will sell the vehicle will be very, very different. They're going to leverage technology. All of it is going to be through virtual reality, mirroring of tablet on large size screens. So it's a whole different world of SUV that the customers will experience in Mahindra.
Now we'll have to move on. Last question to Murli.
Thank you, Pawan. I'm curious, you've had the first baby on MRV and Pininfarina. So will the trio, are they all set to work on their next new creation?
Absolutely. There is already a product that has been kicked off in Mana, which is the next creation as you call it. And again, the same thing, the collaboration between MRV and Mana and between Pininfarina Design and our own design studio in Mumbai. So the same collaboration will continue. Once we have tasted success, we're not going to give that up so easily. Thank you very much, and we now go to the most exciting part of the afternoon. Vijay, take it from here.
Let's unveil the vehicle.
I request all the photographers to come down to take the picture, please? Marazzos parked outside, one accessorized and one customized, which you can see outside.
बैठते हैं ना।
हाँ सर।
स्टैंड अप
अच्छा तुम जीव नहीं बेटा।
नहीं क्या बोलते हैं इसको? हाँ? अच्छा ये कितने का है? हाँ? बस कोई भी मोबाइल आप इसमें हो गया तुझं पर्सेंटेज मोटोराइड
सर्व इक्विपमेंट मारा
हमारी ना हम लोग गाड़ी
मध्ये जायचं
That's what I heard you say. The huge amount of
when does it become 8? No, they said 8-seater. Where this